Okay, good evening, MYBA leaders. I hope you're having a great end of the summer. I can't believe it's already September. We want to welcome you to the September update meeting. We've continued the tradition like we did starting in June of 2020 to continue this virtual outreach and try to stay engaged with all of you as much as possible. We want to continue the momentum that we had last year when we became a unified voice and a unified front related to return to participation guidelines. And we all came together and made that happen. And we were able to successfully, even though it was still a battle, get through 3 months of basketball. And I know everybody has had the opportunity to participate this spring and summer with other opportunities that are out there. And now we're getting back to our winter community-based season that we all enjoy. I just want to introduce people that are with me this evening. I know a lot of the names that I'm seeing, but my name is Dawson Blanck. I am the executive director at the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services. I've been at the MYAS since 1999. Jeremy Innis, associate director, will be speaking about the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance. He is an associate director. He's been with the MYAS for almost 20 years. And he'll have some good updates for you tonight. He'll be the main contact for the MYBA. We have Ashlie Anzel, who is a program director at the MYS, primarily in the girls side, but she works on the boys and girls side. She'll be another contact for all of you related to correspondence and anything with fall, winter, spring basketball programming. Kevin Wilson, longtime MYS program director, that has been at the MYS since 1998. And he will be another great resource related to our one-day events, the Winter League that we're running this year, MLK Invite, any of the recreational events that we have. He'll be able to be a great resource to you. And then I'm excited to be able to introduce Tony Schrepfer, who is our director of officiating. He started on August 9th. I've known Tony for a long time, and he will do an amazing job in this role. We have we all together as the Minnesota youth basketball community have a daunting task ahead of us related to replenishing the pool of officials and figuring out ways that we can all work together with recruitment, education, and retainment for officials to make everybody better. That means that the players are better if the officials are trained, because the game management and philosophy side will be there. So Tourney will get into that. And Tourney and I have worked high school varsity basketball for over 2 decades as well, in officiating. So excited to have him part of the MYS team. Carolyn Dirksen is also a new member of the MYS team. She started on August 23rd. She is the MYS Assistant Director in the areas of officiating and administration. And Carolyn brings vast knowledge in officiating. She is a high school and college basketball official, and she's also a high school football official. Carolyn is going to be another great asset to our organization and to all of you. And as you can see, we have 2 individuals that are going to be focused on officiating, because it's extremely important with everything going on with the mass shortage that we have. We're going to get into ways that we all can help as association leaders with creating the correct environment for the officials to work. And then we have Patrick Rock. Patrick Rock, he's been a face within youth officiating, high school officiating, collegiate officiating for a long time. He worked as a tournament director for MYS 2 decades ago. He's been involved heavily in the Minnesota youth basketball landscape, and he's coming on as the coordinator of officiating development for basketball. He's going to help us again within our clinics that we're going to be running. He's going to help get impressions onto social media, help provide resources for all of you as MYBA member organizations. So we're excited to have him part of the team as well. And then finally, Austin Bell joined us tonight, and I'll have Austin come on in just a second. But Austin is with the Minnesota Department of Health. His title is MDH Epidemiologist, Intermediate for K-12 Schools and Child Care Unit. As you all know, we got to know Al and Jane really well, along with Commissioner Tomes last winter. Al is actually moved off of the MDH, so he is no longer a contact for us, but Austin, I got to know him over the last week, and he's going to just, again, it's literally him sharing updates and providing some recommendations and guidance, and he'll kind of get into that. So I'm going to share my screen here. Again, maybe Ashlie, do you want to talk about the ability to ask questions or anything like that? Do you want to talk about that part of it?
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions throughout any of this presentation or any of our presenters, go ahead and put it in the chat box. And then at the end of each presenter, we will jump in there and get those questions answered for you. And then depending on the topic that we're talking about, I may jump in there with a few questions as well to kind of see what your associations are doing.
Okay. Austin, are you available?
Yes, I am.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so before Austin starts, I'm going to again go through here. We're going to get through the MYBA updates, an announcement that we wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of as we move into the season, especially for those organizations that have tournaments early on. Some folks and initiatives, along with, we're going to give Tony and Carolyn and Patrick the opportunity to talk about some stuff related to officiating, and then just talk about some other announcements. So I'm going to turn it over to Austin. Austin, thank you very much for joining us. And you are speaking to all the great leaders within Minnesota youth basketball.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time.
I was going to say one thing, Austin. We don't want to hold it against you because you're from Iowa.
I am from Iowa. I'm from Iowa City. So lifelong Hawkeye. Do you want me to share my screen or is?
Sure. I can. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to exit this and stop my share, and then you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's not right. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, so as Dawson said, I'm Austin Bell. I'm an epidemiologist with the Minnesota Department of Health. And I'm just here to give a quick update on youth sports and COVID. The big things that have changed probably since the last time you spoke to someone from MDH was that.
Sorry, Austin, are you supposed to be sharing your screen?
Oh, sorry about that.
That's right.
Why is this?
There we go.
Okay. Sorry about that. I haven't used Zoom a whole lot. Okay, so if you can see this, the peacetime emergency has ended, and with it, most of what were requirements last year in schools and sports have shifted to recommendations and best practices. We've had a little bit of trouble over the summer with camps, interpreting that more as like optional. But it really is still the best practices to ensure the safety of the children playing, the coaches and the volunteers, their families and the communities around them. Another big thing that has changed is the Delta variant, which I'll get into a little bit later, so I won't touch on much here. For students, there are no and low vaccination rates. So for anyone under 12, the vaccine is not available, which it sounds like most of the kids in the program would be. And then even for kids 12 through 18, where the vaccine is available, the rates are very, very low. So that's challenging in addition to the Delta variant. And then the last thing is that this year, last year when we did have youth sports, a lot of schools were in distance and hybrid learning. So there wasn't that additional opportunity to transmit the virus. So those will all be challenges in the next few months. This is the CDC's COVID tracker. It is really grim. Every week it's gotten more and more red, which means high transmission in the state. And really everywhere but Nebraska is pretty much the same. But this last week, everywhere in Minnesota is high or substantial transmission. Some things about Delta variant. It is believed to be 2 times as contagious as the original COVID. Data suggests that it might cause more severe illness than previous strains, especially in unvaccinated persons. Unvaccinated people still remain the greatest concern. There are breakthrough infections, they do happen, but when they happen, they are not nearly as severe as they are in unvaccinated individuals. And then lastly, fully vaccinated people with Delta variant breakthrough are believed to have a shorter transmission period. They're not as infectious for as long as unvaccinated individuals are. And one thing I would add to this is that we are still learning. We've been learning ever since the pandemic started. So things that might be true today might change in the future. So flexibility is always appreciated. This is a chart that shows the infectiousness of different viruses. For the original strain of COVID-19, it was believed that roughly 3, for every 1 case, they would infect 3 individuals. And that has changed with Delta variant. For every 1 case, we would expect them on average to spread it to 7 additional individuals. And the big problem with that, at least over the summer for summer camps, was that it was so infectious and it was so quick that we would not find out about a single case until we found out that the entire camp was an outbreak. So that's, I think, going to be the situation that we're in the coming year. Some COVID guidance. We have the Minnesota State High School League has a great document that they put together for fall sports. And it's really about keeping all participants and everybody healthy. I'll quickly pull that up. It has basic mitigation practices that everybody can implement. The most important being at the top, which are vaccines and then masks. Physical distancing cohorts are still going to be really important since we don't have that vaccine available to everybody. And then it goes down to hygiene practices, hand washing, staying home when sick, that kind of stuff. They have more general recommendations. And one thing I would like to highlight is that while most of the requirements from last year are gone, the transportation requirement from the CDC is still in place, which means that mask use is required on public transportation, and that includes school transportation as well. And then lastly, they have a lot of great sports specific guidance. And right now it is only for that fall semester, but I'm anticipating that they will update it when we get a little bit closer to winter. Oops. This document here is the American Academy for Pediatrics interim guidance. I'm not going to go over it a whole bunch. I think it's really great for parents and families. It just goes into why we would like kids to practice mitigation practices while they're playing in sports. And then these are just some CDC considerations. I'm sure you guys have dealt with this a lot last year. It hasn't changed a whole lot, but we do know that indoor sports are more risky. And sports that have physical closeness are a lot more risky, lot higher rate of transmission. The more people that are at an event, the greater the risk of spread. Level of intensity, when people are breathing heavy, they're breathing a lot. They have the ability to spread the droplets further than that 6 feet. And then duration of time, we've always focused on 15 minutes or more. And that's usually our cut point, but the longer you're around somebody with COVID-19, the greater the risk of transmission. And then they also just want to point out that if there are people that are likely to develop severe illness, that they might want to consider taking even more precautions than everyone else. Another thing that has not changed is, or I guess is in Minnesota statute, is that reporting cases of COVID-19 is required under Minnesota law. So if you are aware of a case, we would like you to report it. I can make these slides available so you don't have to write this down, but this is a survey that goes through all of the questions that we would ask you. And in it, you can also select if you would like consultation on the case. And we like to do that just because we only have 3 full-time staffers. A lot of people are part-time and it rotates all the time. So when we get the surveys, we have a system of assigning it as quickly as possible to the individuals that are with us that day. And we have all of the information to get started on the report. And then the last slide I have is guidance follow-up. So if you do have a question about a particular case, please mark that you need follow-up in the REDCap reporting system that I had on the last slide. But if you have general guidance things, if you just want to talk through a situation, a hypothetical, please email the school's email box. The sports email box is about to be sunset just because we are we're redoing the processes from last year. And this is kind of the same thing where we all have access to this inbox and it would get assigned out to somebody as quickly as possible. And that's all I have. I did not check for questions.
Yeah, we'll give you some here in just a second.
Sure.
Dawson, and does MDH currently have, I know that last winter we got used to or accustomed to going to the MDH youth sports guidance. And I know that hasn't been updated since the summer, maybe in May. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be updated again, or is that technically because the peacetime order's up that not necessarily, it won't necessarily be updated again?
It will not necessarily be updated again. Our philosophy for the last few months was that sports are a higher risk activity, but there are also other high risk activities as well. And CDC got rid of most of their sports guidance. We're going to mostly be aligning with the Minnesota State High School League and CDC when they have guidance.
Okay, and that's good to know. We're partners with the high school league and we're gonna work directly with them for this winter. We actually were gonna recommend their guidance that they came out with for the time being. We've been a little bit slower on wanting to put out any kind of MYBA guidance, if that's what it is, because for one, as you said, it's very fluid, and two, that facility requirements are going to supersede any kind of guidance that we produce, because it's going to go back to the school district or the school that all of the associations participate through.
Sure.
I got a couple of questions here. Tim from Bloomington has a question. Last year, when an athlete had a positive COVID test, the entire team had to quarantine for 10 days. Is that still the requirement for this season?
So we are still discussing that. What we are likely going to recommend this year is testing in lieu of quarantining. Mm-hmm. Unless there are particularly close contacts, we would still recommend those close contacts quarantine. But if there's somebody that you don't think had a lot of contact, we would recommend testing in that case. And if there's somebody that had close contact that's vaccinated, they would also not need to quarantine. We would ask that they test as well, just because there are breakthrough infections with the Delta variant.
And I believe the way that they ended the end of last season was that it would be on day 8, somebody could come back if they were in a close contact individual, but they tested on days 5 through 7 or something like that. And they got the results back that were negative. Because I think it was day 8 or day 11, possibly, if you didn't decide to do any testing.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have,
Mhm,
for the most part, we've switched to get tested 3 days after your exposure. And then you can come back after we've tried really hard to simplify things, just because we know that COVID fatigue is a real thing.
Yep. Okay. And then Josh from Stillwater would like to know how many hospitalization rates in kids correlated to the increased infection rates over the last few months.
Sure. I don't have the exact numbers on hand. It is a slight increase. Kids are still a really tiny fraction of our hospitalizations, but with Delta, they have I think it's a 1 or 2% increase. But I'd be happy to get the exact numbers for you if you'd like.
Okay. I don't remember if you had mentioned this before, but Megan from Matamita asked, will a close contact who has been vaccinated need to quarantine?
No, we would just like them to get tested 3 to 5 days after their exposure.
Okay. So it looks like we asked the question about what their facility or their district is providing as far as what the policies they're putting in place, and it's kind of all across the board. So
It really is.
Yep. So I guess the one thing that I'll just pass along to everybody, I'm going to work with Austin in just getting general resources together that obviously is going to be similar to what we did last year, or at least there will be a landing page of that COVID-19 resource page that we created a year ago. So at least there will be some general things for everybody that they can review and they can pass along to all of their participants. So we'll work on that. I'll get in touch with you, Austin, and we can kind of get some resources together, and I'll show you again how we did it last year, so it'll flow the same way and people can reference it.
Sure.
Okay. Again, if anybody has any other specific questions, he did reference the school MDH email, and he said also that things are going to continually change. We will keep you abreast of everything as best we can. Like he said, yes, COVID fatigue is real, but we also know that we need to maintain a safe and healthy environment for everybody involved as we get to the end of this. And you guys everybody on this call worked extremely hard to make that happen last October, November, and then last January, February, March. And I know that us taking precautions will help everybody involved. So Austin, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a safe and successful year, and I'll be here to help.
Thank you. All right, we'll get back into our presentation. All right, so just some things related to the Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance. The Minnesota Youth Basketball Alliance is a collaborative effort between our organization, MYS, the MYAS Board of Advisors, and all the travel basketball leaders around the state, simply working together to enhance community-based youth basketball. It was launched last year. It had been something that was discussed for a long time at the MYS. And I know it was a kind of a push by some of the leaders on the board of advisors. And I guess through the grace of God, even though we went through some very negative times last year, we were able to get things together quickly related to COVID guidance and everything else that went into that. And we got through a season like I had mentioned earlier. So the things that we need to keep in mind is there's 5 C's that we have kind of designated for the MYBA: compliance, communication, connectivity, consistency, and conciseness, or concise results. You know, some of the things that we haven't mentioned much, but we all know that you guys are committed to the compliance of best practices, eligibility, and team composition. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I think everybody wanted to make sure that there was a way that people would pledge to that, because there were some things, you know, between 2005 to 2019 that happened that we wanted to make sure that we first and foremost protected and enhanced winter community-based youth basketball programming. So with that being said, Jeremy, are you available?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Jeremy's going to go into, I guess, some things that some of you already know, some of you may not know because you either didn't have teams participating last year or you were not part of the MYBA last year. So he'll go through some things quickly, but then he'll focus on some other things. So go ahead, Jeremy.
All right, thanks, Dawson. The first thing I'll mention is the membership renewal. We've simplified it this year. It's just a flat fee of $100. Last year, there was a per team fee, but this year all you need to do is pay that $100 fee, and you can access everything within the portal. And you'll agree to the items listed in there, basically the best practices that Dawson mentioned. Then you'll be able to get your tournament listed, edit your rosters, be eligible to participate in our state tournament, things like that. Another big component by being a registered member is having access to the tournament index, which is posted on our website. That is one of the most visited pages on our site. So if your tournament isn't on there, I would highly recommend getting it listed. There's some really good information on there as far as if the tournament's going to be charging a daily admission or doing the no gate fee model. So everybody can get a nice snapshot of the season right there. One thing that we are expecting to experience this year, you know, especially it sounds like a lot of the tournaments are moving to the no gate fee model. Tournaments that are charging a daily admission, I would highly recommend communicating that as much as possible to the coaches, the directors from the associations that are participating in your tournament, just so they can prepare their parents before they arrive. The MYBA portal, to get admin access, other admins who are already joined with their association can grant other users access. If you need access, we can help you out too and get that set up. But you can check with other board members within your association to see if they have access and they have the ability to get you access in there as well. Please update your board members just so we can reach out to the proper people and keep everybody informed. We realize most associations have tryouts coming up. So as soon as you can, please get those teams and rosters updated so we can have some accurate information in there and we're not scrambling prior to the state tournament time. In the very near future, we're going to come out with some detailed timelines of when we'd like everybody to get everything completed for us. The biggest update that I have for tonight is regarding the preferred bracketing platform. Up until tonight, you may have heard us mention the MYBA bracket platform. That was in reference to a custom built platform that we were going to build out through our MYAS website. We've got that built out and we like it, but we don't love it. And the last thing we want to do is put the success of your tournaments in jeopardy. So we just yesterday reached out to the guys over at Tourney Machine and we're able to get them back on board this year and give us the greatly reduced fee of $2 per team for every MYBA member association.
I just want to mention, Jeremy, with that, one of the bullet points we have on that, or squares, is that the customer satisfaction and functionality of the platform cannot be ignored. And Jeremy and I kept going back to that. and the customer service that we received with Shane and others over there, we felt that with the number of associations that went to it last year and enjoyed it, and Jeremy was able to get to used to it as well and be another resource for everybody. We just feel that we didn't want to lose that momentum. So we like Jeremy said, are continuing to use Tourney Machine as the official bracketing platform of the MYBA.
Thank you, Dawson. Very good point. Yes, and throughout this process of exploring building out our own platform, we heard from many association leaders that they really like Tourney Machine, as Dawson said. So we're really happy to go back to them and continue this partnership. As I mentioned, if the same login info, if you were the tournament director last year and you received the login info from me, that same username and password will work for this year's season. I will be sending all that information out to every association here within the next couple of weeks. The plan is by September 10th to get everybody access into Tourney Machine. We're also going to be working feverishly on loading teams into Tourney Machine. So look for more information on that coming soon. That's in reference to, for those of you that used Tourney Machine last year, if you remember clicking into the teams tab where we preloaded all of the teams, and then you could search through that catalog and select the appropriate team that's participating in your tournament. What that did for us was really helped with team identification, because we saw it so much throughout the last couple of years when we took a really hard look at this, that so many teams played an A-B schedule, a B-C schedule. There's even a handful of teams that played A tournaments, B tournaments, and C tournaments. So if we want to get an accurate snapshot of a team's success throughout the season, we got to know which team that is that's playing in all those events. So with the team identification, we've got that listed on our website, and that's basically the association name, the gender initial, the number for the grade, and then a unique identifier, which ideally is a color, a coach's name. Some associations use a number. The A, B, and C thing will work, but it gets tricky if now your team that's listed as A is playing in a B tournament, and sometimes creates some confusion. So we'll get you some information on that. We also have an opportunity, if you're interested, that our MYS staff will help put your tournament together. And we've currently got some information on the MYBA page about those packages and the different services that we can offer. One of the nice features with Tourney Machine is that they do have a mobile app, and parents, other people interested in your tournament can check out that app and follow teams and get notifications of wins and things like that. So that is a very nice feature. If you've been attending these meetings, one thing you've probably heard Dawson and I say quite a bit is that we are just trying to provide solutions and options for you. We strongly encourage you to use Tourney Machine. The main reason is that it helps with team identification, and it's a very user-friendly program. We are not requiring you to use Tourney Machine, so it's ultimately left up to you. We encourage you to use it, but at the end of the day, it's the decision can be made by your association.
And I'll just mention with that, if you decide to go a different route, because I think we feel very strongly about this platform, but if you decide to go a different route, then we hope that you are committing to the fact that you are going to get the results to us, so we can make sure to have accurate results and rankings related to all the teams that participate in MYBA tournaments.
Correct, and that leads us right into our trusted rankings platform. We have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we can get an accurate ranking system created. If everybody were to use the same bracketing platform, that would be ideal because all of that data would be in one spot. Nice thing about Tourney Machine is that it in a nice, easy way forces tournament directors to select team names that are properly identified, so we can get the accurate data. We're still working on ways, as Dawson mentioned, for tournaments that don't use Tourney Machine. We're working on a way to figure out how to collect that data and get that into a rankings platform. Definitely have a lot more information coming on that. And that trusted rankings platform is what we envision to be a very important tool for the seeding of our grade state tournament. If we had a ranking system that every team was entered in there and we had accurate data, that would be phenomenal. And we could most likely use that platform to seed our state tournament. Until we get to that, we will most likely continue what we did last year with the online seeding process that we use for our state tournament, where coaches could provide kind of a season snapshot, wins, losses, who they beat, who they lost to, a little brief description for how their seasons went. All the other coaches within their division can see that information and then rank the teams how they see fit. We average all that out, and that's how we get that ranking. Last year, we used that process and it went very well. It was very streamlined, and we received a lot of good feedback. So we'll be carrying most of that on with a couple of improvements for this upcoming season. Dawson, if you go to the next slide, please.
Yep.
All right, so here's some other initiatives that we'll be launching or offering again for the upcoming season. Uniformity and Rules is something that we hear every year. And what we're going to be doing is posting some rules templates here in the very near future, maybe by the end of this week, probably by the end of next week at the latest, where we're going to make those documents available, and tournament directors can use those documents, take them, use them 100%, which would be great, or they can take pieces of it to help build out the rules that they want for their tournament. Ideally, everybody would be using the same rules for their tournament. It would help the players, it would help the coaches, it would help the officials. One example that we hear quite a bit is pressing when it comes to 4th grade, for example. And those coaches, we hear from them that, this weekend they played in a tournament, they could only press the last 2 minutes. This tournament was the last 2 minutes of the second half. This tournament's the whole game, etc. All kinds of different scenarios. So if we can create that consistent, even with the tiebreaker criteria, so we can keep things consistent across the board, would be very helpful for everybody. Dawson, would you like to touch on the next list of points here?
I just got a couple things here. Josh from Stillwater says, are you reviewing roster changes on Tourney Machine?
At this point, we last year we did not load team rosters into Tourney Machine. We had them all listed in the MYBA portal, and that is still the plan this year. If there's a way, working with the Tourney Machine guys, that we can figure out a way to get, maybe some email addresses or contact information into Tourney Machine, we'll most likely go that route, just so we can use the communication features through Tourney Machine. But as far as reviewing rosters, we do review the rosters that are in the MYBA portal. And if anybody has any roster questions pertaining to eligibility, if a player on a certain team, if you're wondering if they're eligible to be playing with that team, feel free to reach out to us, and we will follow up on that. Because we want to we're putting these guidelines for team composition in place, and we want to make sure that the teams are following through on those. and we will do some checking. As an MYBA member, one of the things that associations agree to is some random roster audits where we may be reaching out and looking for some documentation on some of the teams that shows, mainly where they go to school. That's probably where we would start. But if you have any questions about player eligibility, players on different teams, definitely feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, and before I get into that a little bit further, Lisa from Woodbury just asked that we get information out sooner. I agree with you, Lisa. I think the other thing that we've noticed is that the information that's passed along during the months of April, May, June, half the people don't even look into it because the boards are switching, and they're usually, especially what we saw this year, is that people ran from basketball for about a month because they wanted to be done with that season for a little while. But we hope that Woodbury still gets us the results. That would be awesome, because we know you had to make a decision previously about everything. Getting into just a little bit more with player eligibility, we felt it was important that our organization does not have to become or referenced as the youth sports police. We're working with the U.S. Council for Athletes Health, and they are going to be crucial in helping us provide compliance services related to exactly what Jeremy was talking about, with upholding guidelines and player eligibility, team composition. And there will be a specific reporting for that. We want to make sure to eliminate bleacher talk, that if people have something that they want to get information to us and they have legitimate facts behind it, then we need to know that. We can't just talk about it at tournaments. So that's the big thing to get across to your coaches as well, is that if there is a situation going on where there is a known person that is ineligible for the organization that they're participating on, or that's a fact, we all need to come together as the MYBA and make sure that that doesn't happen, because we are a community-based program. So let's make sure we continue to do that. We are gonna, Tony and Carolyn will get into this, and Pat, related to officials recruitment and retainment, and helping you all as leaders. Within the next week, you'll receive resources that you can promote within your community to help promote officials in your community and what their point of entry is into officiating. There's going to be some other things related to our partnership with Youth First that we're going to provide to all of you as MYBA members organizations, that we hope and encourage you to post the information at your tournaments to promote the zero tolerance, because together we need to create the environment. If we don't create the environment within all of our tournaments, then that means that we're going to continue to lose officials, and the pool of officials will never be replenished. So the MYBA Board of Advisors, we're going to strategize later this month with them. We have not met with them for a period of time, and we want to meet up with them prior to the season as well. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Tony Schrepfer. He's going to introduce himself, and then I'll let them get into their brief talk about officials, recruit, educate, retain. Tony. It's all yours, Tony.
All right, there we are. Hear me?
Yep.
Very good. All right, yeah. Thanks, Dawson. My name is Tony Schrepfer. I am the new Director of Officials here at the MYAS. I've been given the opportunity to build systems that will help bring in more and new officials. We're calling it Recruit, Retain Referees Together. And it will take all of us to make that happen, as Dawson just mentioned. And I've met with all our stakeholders at the MYS, and then I've also met with all of our assigners over the past couple of weeks, so we can all be on the same page as it pertains to our tournaments, scheduling, and pay scale for our assigners and our officials. So it's similar across the metro area. So if it's from Matabidi to Wayzata or Lakeville to Andover, right? We want to make sure that that's uniformed across. So we're getting the best officials everywhere. That way we can run tournaments and be effective. So there's, again, meeting with us using the trusted assigners, for your association tournaments, it will be beneficial as they have been trained with the best practices, right, and professionalism that we can offer here at the MYAS. Knowing that about 70% of all youth coaches that we have for all sports are trusted coaches. I'm one of them, actually. As my son, I coached his baseball team a few years back, so I went through the Trusted Coaches program, and we're going to be building that for our Trusted Officials program. That way they have the same training, right? The same professional training. So officials can spot things like concussions. What does a concussion look like? Or, they're cleared to work with youths, right? We have a lot of people out there that, when they're on the court, you want to make sure that you got a solid person working for you. And they know the rules of the game. So there's lots of benefits for having trusted officials work your tournaments. As for this fall, we'll have things in place on our website over the next few weeks here as we're working on, iron out some things that we need to take care of. And that way our officials can register for the upcoming season. If your association is interested in having us run a training clinic for your in-house officials, we could do that also. And that would also have your officials become trusted officials. So it's a win-win for everybody. And that's how we build our pool, because they see the benefit of being a trusted official themselves, with the training and everything that comes with it. We're also working with our tech support team on streamlining our online registration process for becoming an official. Training, screening, and continuing education throughout the year. So we don't have to continue to do stuff like concussion training, because that'll happen every 3 years. Because that's an ongoing training tool that we have. Trying to think, we have Carolyn Dirksen's our assistant director, and she's going to talk about some of the things that we're going to be working on as it pertains to our promotion of officials.
Yeah, Carolyn, before you talk, Tony Scott from Rochester area.
Yep.
I said, will this be open to outside the Twin Cities? We are Minnesota youth, and I know you referenced Metro, but
I did, I should have said throughout the state just as well. Yeah, it'll be the it's greater metro area, but throughout the state as well. Rochester, Duluth, the big cities, and even the smaller ones. And get over towards like Moorhead and things like that, out west to Marshall and Wilmer and things like that. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Carolyn Dirksen, and I'm the Assistant Director of Officiating here at MYAS, and I'm working side by side with our tech support team, Tony and Pat, as we're coming up with some really good ideas on how we can utilize our existing web page and update our current web page to establish the promotion of officials by using social media as a way to promote officiating. There will be, as Tony did mention, there will be in training our season training videos along the way with any other updates throughout the season posted on our website. And in October, we are working on having four dates of our trusted officials in-person trainings. I'm currently working with some schools to see some availability for them, but we are planning to have those all around the metro area, plus virtual trainings to get our officials prepared for the upcoming season, which we know will start in November. And now I'm going to turn it over to Patrick Rock, who's our coordinator of basketball officiating development, so we can share some of the things that Pat's working on. Go ahead, Pat.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick Rock. I'm the coordinator of basketball officiating development. What I'll be doing is to help our tech team support Tourney and Carolyn putting together our trainings for our upcoming clinics and talking points throughout this year, as stated before. So basically from starting with the month of September all throughout until I'm thinking the end of the season. Basically, everyone will be getting a short video, obviously, just a theme for every month, theme, whether it be by week or by month. That part, the logistic part, we'll still figure that piece out. But we'll definitely talk some talking piece, training. So for sure, be on the lookout for that. What that entails, but not limited are, will be mechanics. Mechanics look like fouls, violations, rules knowledge, philosophy, and game management. In addition to those that are in-person clinics, we'll have some on-court training to teach positioning, getting the best angles, and court awareness. We all have a small part in putting together the big picture for our officials, and with our goal of having all officials registered as trusted officials. Our officials will be well equipped to handle any game that your association holds with full confidence and professionalism. The biggest key is again, I want everybody to take out of is that giving our staff, both myself, Carolyn, and Tony, opportunity to come in to do those training for you guys. Because remember, we need to put our professionals in the best situations possible. And the only way you're going to do that is by proper training. And with our skill set and things that we know we can do, all we ask is the opportunity for us to do that. Thank you.
And the other thing to mention, thank you, Tony, Carolyn, and Patrick. The other thing that we want to make sure to do is not only have a focus on officials and the education, the continuing education, the training, all the stuff that Pat talked about. We also want to make sure that there's an understanding of the relationship between the coach, between the player, between the parent and the official, and trying to, like, as we talked about earlier, and Tony mentioned that we are all in this together. And so that's their forum coming up later in September, focuses in on that for all of you association leaders. And, you know, Pat is going to also be out on our social media with quick snippet videos promoting those kind of things as well. So again, thank you guys, appreciate it. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ashlie and Kev. So Ashlie, if you want to start out, some upcoming program and services. Again, this is the MYS side. These are solutions for your association based on feedback that we've been given. If you don't want to participate, we understand, or if you have something going on inside your organization, but these are all offerings for you. Go ahead, Ashlie.
All right, thank you, Dawson. So yeah, like Dawson said, just looking to provide some solutions through different services that we think will benefit not only the association, but your families and your players as well. First thing is, you might have noticed, we sent this out in the last agenda, but September and October, throughout the months, we're going to be offering different meetings and forums that are designed for our MYBA member associations, coaches, board members. Some of those topics are going to be covered. We have our Trusted Coaches platform, recruiting and retaining officials, culture competent, learning and social leadership. There's going to be some youth first initiatives and sportsmanship. So just a bunch of different offerings. So if you guys want to go, I did link it here, or else it is on our MYBA webpage with all the dates. We also will be having 4 different dates where we're going to have some player and coach development offerings, where Clarence Fields and our Rising Stars Academy will offer some different training tips, which would be a great resource for your coaches to attend. We have the Gopher State Fall basketball offerings. We have our Jamboree next Saturday, and then we'll be starting our 4 weeks of league play. Next Sunday, starting our 4 weeks of league play on Sunday the 19th and going through October 10th. So if you're interested in that, get your kids some extra court time before the winter season. Those are up there on our website as well. We have the MYBA tryout evaluation services, which again, Clarence Fields will be able to help with that. So if you are looking to bring in some outside evaluators to help assist with your tryouts, feel free to reach out, and they can let you know how they can help with that. And then also through there, we have our development and training through our Rising Stars Academy. So being offered through that, we have right now starting to run some camps, getting players ready for tryouts, and then also going to be offering a lot of non-school day camps. So we have MEA camps Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving break camps, Christmas, MLK Day, President's Day, locations of Hope Fieldhouse or Eagle Ridge Academy. So those are all on the Rising Stars website. And then Kevin, do you want to jump in about these winter offerings?
I'll just I'll jump in really quick. So we are offering a winter league. This would be a supplement for the larger association teams or medium-sized association teams. It also is available for those smaller associations or medium-sized associations that don't have reciprocity with other youth basketball associations, for them to get an opportunity to play a couple of games a week. And there's some different offerings you can make that happen. We want to try to stress this option because everybody asks it as an option within the end of the year survey and things like that, but everybody also understands the infrastructure that's been established with tournaments and the fundraising mechanism that is there. But we do have a winter league available for 3rd to 8th grade and 9th through 12th grade teams. Kev, can you hear us now? Okay, winter shootouts. We have 1-day events. They used to be called Super Savers. We're really trying to ramp up that to offer, competitive matchups. And there will be a lot more things coming out on that. There is hosting opportunities if you're looking to supplement and gain all concessions and admissions. That's a great opportunity as well. We're going to really ramp up our MLK event. It's going to be held at Midtown YMCA in Minneapolis. We're going to have some speakers. It's going to be more than just an event named after him. It's going to be about him and other things related to social justice and things like that. So it'll be a great invite event. Winter in-house programming, grade state basketball. The dates are available. They're available for the next 3 or 4 years. Rec state tune-ups and rec state championships. So if you have a connection with your in-house teams, you can look into that and send that over to your in-house director. The MYS is going to be administering a couple of the big house basketball leagues in the metro. And so we're looking forward to that as well. All right, to finish off really quick. The big thing is that we're excited to have the second annual, or I guess it's third, but we didn't have a second. So we're calling it the second in-person coaches clinic, and that'll be held on October 16th. We created 2 options, one in Fridley from 9 to 12, and then one at Academy of Holy Angels from 1 to 4. There's a flat fee for MYBA member associations to send as many coaches as they want to that clinic. I know there's also been a practice plan book that'll be made available to all attendees, along with drills to help all coaches get through the season and be prepared as they go into each practice. We will continue to send information about that. We'll send this presentation out and some kind of highlights of this meeting. Other couple things just to note, Pacesetter Sports, some of the organizations that are from Greater Minnesota might be familiar with that great organization. We are going to begin collaborating in several areas to assist community-based youth teams and high school players throughout Minnesota. They're community-based, we are community-based. We want to promote that. We are Minnesota youth, not Twin Cities. We want to make sure that we ramp up our presence throughout the state of Minnesota, and we want to work with them on their programming. So we're going to be doing some different things with that, special invites from their tournaments and our tournaments to be able to create a bigger tournament atmosphere. And then the U.S. Council for Athletes Health is going to provide you all resources for health, safety, and wellness. And then Iceberg Sports is going to have some parent education through trusted coaches that will be made available very soon if you're looking for some additional education for your parents. Any change to the coaches meeting would be available by Zoom also for those living outside the metro area. Yeah, there has been talk about that. For this year, we just kept it within the metro, and we want to expand that as we move forward. But I know that we've been talking about the opportunity for there being a virtual setting. So, and we'll make sure to get more information out about that. And as always, we want to make sure that we thank you for your time and dedication to youth basketball. We are here to serve you. We are here to support you. We are simply here to steer the ship. We at the MYS have great passion for our mission of enhancing the delivery of youth sports services. So any of the individuals that spoke, myself, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. If we don't know about things, we can't act on it and try to enhance what's happening out there, or if there's other things that we need to address. So again, we are here to serve and protect community-based programming. With that being said, I want to thank you guys all for being here this evening. I guess I will ask one more time. Does anybody have anything that they want to throw into the chat? The flat fee for the coaches meeting is $300. So as many coaches as you want to send. House traveling, that adds up pretty quick. Heads coaches, assistant coaches, whatever you would like to do. That's the way that we have it set up. And then the other things that you're getting on top of just the participation in the meeting itself. Okay, thank you all for joining tonight, and have a great start to your September. Enjoy the Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take care.